Hey guys.
Okay, so finally I got around to watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now, I saw clips of it, so that's what got me interested, but a big reason why I was so long against watching the movie is because it's not about the main Peter Parker. It's about Morales, and I don't have a problem with Miles Morales. It's just I read some of the Ultimate comics. I even had some of the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, but first of all, I didn't like the art by Mark Bagley, and second of all, I didn't like some changes the Ultimate Universe did to known characters, because Ultimate Comics were a more modern update to Marvel Comics, but I didn't really see the point, and so Spider-Man, the Ultimate Spider-Man comics didn't really interest me despite me owning some of them. And that's the reason that I didn't stick along enough to see Miles Morales in a book when they finally killed off Peter Parker in the Ultimate Comics. And I know I have been saying so often now Ultimate Comics, but just stick with me. But that being said, Miles Morales is probably one of the better things that have come out of the Ultimate line. So good that they brought him over to the main Marvel Comics, and I don't know. For me, the perfect alternative Spider-Man characters are Ben Reilly or Kane Parker. Not so much Miles Morales. I even prefer Spider-Man Noir to Miles Morales because, I don't know, he doesn't really interest me personally, despite speaking to kind of my demographic, And then he got his own comic book line, which I haven't read. So I've been kind of avoiding Miles Morales related media because the character simply doesn't speak to me. Now I watched the movie, and I gotta say, it doesn't make me more interested in the character, but it's a very solid movie and most of all entertaining. But it doesn't make me want to read more about Miles because Miles is not the most interesting part for me in the movie, despite being the main character. I found Peter B. Parker more interesting, and of course Spider-Man Noir. I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man Noir, and honestly, Marvel, if you wanna make a Spider-Man Noir movie, call me. I know I'm a small YouTuber with like 26 subscribers, but if you happen to stumble upon this video, I'm absolutely down for it. Call me. I'm gonna direct it. I'm gonna write the story. I'm not gonna write the script, but I'm here. Now the thing that probably speaks the most volume of the movie is the visuals. There's a lot of time invested in the visuals, and you see that it's very impressive from that point. Now the story is it's a bit fish out of water cliche being, but it's still nice. The climax takes a little bit too long, but that's just my opinion, and I think the movie would have preferred would have worked a little bit more with a focus more on the other characters besides Miles, but because Miles is the main character, it is what it is, you know. Then Chris Pine is speaking the Spider-Man from a Miles universe, who gets spoiler for a two years old movie. He gets killed, and then we have Jake Johnson, who does the typical slacker role, which he always does, but puts this on to Peter Parker, his version of Peter Parker, which is called Peter B. Parker. And they do some interesting stuff that you haven't really seen. He's a bit more cynical. This version that gets to teach Miles, but that's not a bad thing actually, you know, because it helps reestablish Spider-Man's faith, you know, in doing what he does. Because like I said, Peter B. Parker is a slacker. He hasn't really worked out. His Aunt May died. His marriage to Mary Jane is in ruins. He loathes being Spider-Man, but there's no replacement, you know, so he keeps on being Spider-Man, and he's also older than the Peter Parker from Miles Dimension. Then we have Spider-Man Noir, who's also always great, and a really interesting concept. Like I said, I would have preferred to see more of him in a movie. Nicolas Cage voices him, and he does a fantastic job. And as Spider-Gwen, or Spider-Woman, as she's known in universe, who I'm not gonna say I'm more interested in Spider-Gwen, because her creation boils down to those variant covers, which were not too long ago, where they just put different heroes and put Gwen Stacy's face over or something like that, and it spawned into two separate characters. One is Gwen Poole, and the other one is Spider-Gwen. But you see, they're not cool changes that I can actually get behind Spider-Gwen to dig her character, which is not really worth Miles. Anyway, then we have Spider-Ham, voiced by the always wonderful John Mulaney, who does a great job, although he's given a little bit he's given little to no screen time. And then we have Penny Parker. Now, with her character I'm gonna get controversial, because firstly, I have never read something about Penny Parker from the comics, and second of all, she's a bit unlikable. No, not in a general sense of her character, but there's this one moment from which on I absolutely disliked her. You know, there's a scene where they're like, "Oh, Miles is not gonna be ready to put off the machine," you know, because unlike other Spider-Man, Miles has two unique abilities. One, he can turn invisible, and second of all, similar to the Jessica Drew version of Spider-Woman, he can send out electrical shocks. Now, because he's still fresh, he doesn't manage to pull off either of those moves, and Penny Parker doesn't have powers. The only thing she has is a genius level intellect and a telepathic connection to her spider who lives in a robot. So no spider powers, and she gives him shit, and then they're later like, oh no, you can't come with us, turn niggas collider off because you're not ready, but she has no fucking powers, and she should get behind, or be a little bit more supportive, whatever. Not my point. That was just a really, really dick move, I think, by her. Then we have the Prowler. I don't know why, but I kind of miss the original Prowler, because he has been so put out of the picture by the Aaron Davis version, so Mike's uncle, and I even have forgotten his real name. Let me just Google it for a second. I'm right back. Right, it was Hobie Brown. Fuck me. Normally I'm really good with remembering character names. Prowler was a prominently featured character in the Spider-Man magazines that I used to buy. So yeah, that's mainly why I like him. And he wasn't straight up a villain, but apparently Marvel has forgotten him because we see mostly Aaron Davis, who was the Prowler in the Ultimate Universe. And now they do something cool with the Prowler because he has this kind of sound effect every time he appears, and at first it's kind of cool because it makes him scarier, but it becomes repetitive real fast. Then there's the Kingpin with understandable motivation, but it's also understandable that they can't let him succeed, because we see what kind of consequences it has, For the Kingpin, it boils mostly down to, he wants to be a criminal, but his family doesn't really approve of that, and that's the main conflict. I remember there was a Spider-Man story where Vanessa Fisk, so his wife, gave the Kingpin an ultimatum that he had to beat Spider-Man until 12 a.m. Till midnight, and he's so close to beating Spider-Man, and then it's like 12 a.m. when Vanessa comes in, and she's like, alright Wilson, it's time to go, and he's like, oh yeah, time to go, and he just fucking leaves a beaten down, battered Spider-Man on the ground, and Spider-Man, like himself, is like, you can't just leave me here. I think that was kind of a funny moment. Anyway. Then Scorpion has a really interesting design. And Tombstone is also in the movie. I'm reminding you because he's kind of forgotten, and I think it's sad because Tombstone played such a pivotal role in the spectacular Spider-Man series, but that was because they couldn't get the Kingpin in their show, but whatever. huge fan of Tombstone as a villain. Now again, climax being a little bit too long. Story not completely something new, but when do you get actually something new, huh? But the visuals are creative, and Miles as a character is likable. He's likable. I'm not saying he's unlikable. Peter B. Parker is very humane. I feel like it would have been better to give him some more focus. And I don't regret watching the movie. We see us next time. I have no idea when I'm gonna release this video, because I fucked up my upload schedule by both releasing 2 videos in 1 week, although the Stan Lee one is more of a bonus. But yeah, if it doesn't come out tomorrow, it comes out next week. And it doesn't really, but back to the movie, it doesn't really change my opinion on Miles. But I do not regret watching that movie, and I would recommend watching the movie to pass off some time till the next Tom Holland movie comes out. Anyway, bye.
The way he leaps off of rooftops and flips backwards to face the camera before falling into a headfirst dive is just full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. It gives me goosebumps every time he does it. The way he leaps off of rooftops and flips backwards to face the camera before falling into a headfirst dive is just full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. It gives me goosebumps every time he